She was only 19, but life had already taught her how to protect herself. Asterisk, it was late. Far too late for someone her age to be walking alone, but Maya had no choice. Her part-time job at the corner cafe ended just after 10 p.m., and the last bus had left 10 minutes before her shift ended. Her mother always told her to call someone or wait inside, but Maya was independent, fiercely so. She had her pepper spray, her whistle, and more importantly, her mind. She'd taken self-defense classes since she was 14, not because she expected trouble, but because she knew the world could be cruel, especially to girls who looked like her, young, small, and seemingly vulnerable. Asterisk, that night, she sensed it before she even heard the footsteps. It was that tight pull in her chest, the one that whispered, "You're not alone." Asterisk, she glanced over her shoulder and saw him. A man, tall, who'd pulled low, walking just fast enough to match her pace. She crossed the street, he crossed too. Her heart pounded. This wasn't paranoia. This was instinct. Asterisk, Maya slowed near the corner of a closed bookstore, pretending to check her phone. The man slowed too. That was all she needed to know. Asterisk, without warning, she turned sharply into the alley behind the bookstore, not to escape, but to trap him in a space where she could see him clearly, away from passing cars and shadows. She stood tall, tightened her grip on her keys, and when the man turned into the alley after her, she was ready. Asterisk, stop right there, she said, her voice firm. Her hand went to her pepper spray, but something unexpected happened. The man stopped. Not just his steps, his whole body language shifted. He raised both hands slowly, like someone being arrested. And then he said softly, "Wait, I'm sorry, I wasn't following you. I was trying to give you this." Asterisk, in his outstretched hand was a small, worn leather wallet. Maya blinked. "You dropped it," he added, still standing several feet away. "Outside the cafe. I didn't mean to scare you, I swear." Asterisk, she paused. Her heart still raced, but now her mind was catching up. She looked down at her bag, unzipped. Her wallet was gone. He was telling the truth. Still cautious, she said, "Toss it over." Asterisk, he gently lobbed the wallet toward her feet and stepped back immediately. Maya picked it up. Everything was still inside, her ID, her cash. Even the tiny photo of her and her mom at the beach last summer. Asterisk, I don't know what to say, she asked. Red, asterisk, you don't have to say anything, the man said quietly. Just be careful, the city's not always kind. Then he turned to leave. Maya stood there, unsure. Something in his voice didn't sound threatening, it sounded sad. Like he knew what cruelty looked like. Like he'd lived it. Asterisk, wait, she called out, "What's your name?" He paused, looked back. "Just a guy who believes in returning what's not his," he replied. Then, with a small smile, he disappeared into the night. That should have been the end of it, but it wasn't. Over the next few weeks, Maya couldn't stop thinking about that moment. She had assumed the worst of him, and maybe she had a right to, but he hadn't done anything wrong. In fact, he'd gone out of his way to help her, and he didn't ask for praise or even thanks. That kind of kindness was rare. Asterisk, then one day, fate brought them back together. Asterisk, she was volunteering at a weekend soup kitchen her college sponsored. It was part of her scholarship service hours. As she ladled warm stew into paper bowls, she looked up and saw him again, standing at the end of the line. Same worn coat, same quiet eyes. This time she smiled first. "You again," she said. "Still being a good guy?" Asterisk, he chuckled. "Trying my best." Asterisk, she served him a generous helping, then stepped around the table. "Sit with me?" Asterisk, he looked surprised, but nodded. Asterisk, they sat in a quiet corner, and for the first time she learned his story. Asterisk, his name was Jordan. He had once worked in tech, had a good job, a decent life, until a sudden layoff followed by his mother's illness had drained his savings. He took care of her until she passed, and by then he had no job, no apartment, and no one to lean on. Asterisk, I don't tell people this for pity, he said. I tell it because sometimes it only takes one bad year to lose everything. Asterisk, Maya listened, her heart breaking quietly. The man she had feared was someone the world had simply forgotten. But despite everything, he had held on to kindness. He had helped her when she had assumed he was a threat. That said more about him than any backstory ever could. Asterisk, she began meeting him more often at the soup kitchen, sometimes bringing him extra food, clean socks, or books. They became friends. Jordan never took more than he needed. He refused handouts but welcomed human connection. Asterisk, eventually, Maya helped him reconnect with a local outreach program. With her support, Jordan got into transitional housing, then a job training center, and slowly, his life began to rebuild. Asterisk, months later, he returned to the cafe as a shadow. But as a customer, asterisk, Maya spotted him at the door, this time in a clean jacket, trimmed beard, holding a small gift bag. Asterisk, inside was a simple bracelet with one word engraved, asterisk, trust. Asterisk, I never blamed you for being scared, he said. But I'm glad you gave me a chance to show who I really was. Asterisk, Maya smiled, eyes misty, and I'm glad you reminded me. That kindness still exists, even when the world teaches us to be afraid. Because here's the truth, asterisk, self-defense is smart. It's necessary, but so is compassion. So is giving people a second look, a second chance, asterisk, and sometimes the person we fear may be the one who helps us believe in humanity again. Asterisk, if this story touched you, like this video, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to Everyday Grace Stories, asterisk, where real stories remind us that grace lives in everyday moments.